Hey guys, it's Lane with Tim's Nation. I'm here today to talk about the Space Marine list I'm bringing. It is going to be the Iron Storm Spearhead again, so I'm running Iron Hands. Nothing fancy here, no other army based off. It's just Space Marines running the Iron Storm Spearhead detachment. It's a little bit different than the list from last week. If you watched last week's battle report, I've got a few different units in here, mixing things up a little bit. Threw some Inceptors in so I can score some points. I think in a long run, I'm probably not going to be playing Iron Hands that much. I've run it, I ran it last week, ran it this week. I think it's worth a try. I think for my play style, I'll probably keep using Death Watch as my competitive army because I just love the rules for them. So they'll be back on the channel once I have my post nerf to Oath of Moment Death Watch prepared. I had to adjust a few things based on that, add a few new models in. So I'm just kind of finishing up the finishing touches on the Death Watch. But yeah, so today we've got a whole bunch of Dreadnoughts, a couple Lancers, of course, a couple Tech Marines, of course. So let's get into the list here and go through today's Iron Storm Spearhead. All right, Iron Storm Spearhead detachment of Marines. Now, Iron Storm Spearhead, the basic rule for the army is just that for each unit, you can reroll one hit, wound, or damage roll each time it attacks. It's either shooting or fighting. In addition to that, there's some really good enhancements and stratagems. I want to make sure I use some more of the stratagems this week and tell you about them as I use them. But when we've got characters, we've got 3 characters, 2 Tech Marines, and that is a Phobos Lieutenant model, but I am using him as the Lieutenant with the multi or the combi weapon because I need that lone operative ability on him because he's not joining a squad. So we've got 2 Tech Marines and a lone operative Lieutenant with combi weapon. 1 Tech Marine, we'll say the Primaris one, has the Augury, meaning the enhancement that's 40 points that lets him gives all vehicles within 6 inches lethal hits on all their attacks. And then we've also got another Tech Marine, the Firstborn Tech Marine, will have the enhancement that lets him zero out 1 failed armor save for a vehicle within 6 inches of him once per battle round. And then the Lieutenant is going to have the enhancement that lets all vehicles within 6 inches of him either advance and shoot or fall back and shoot. Sorry, I forget all the names of those enhancements, but that's what they do. Other than the characters, we just have 2 squads of Plasma Inceptors. I've definitely heard arguments either way for Bolter Inceptors or Plasma Inceptors. Either way, they're obviously great because their special rule lets them deep strike a mere 3 inches away from enemy models. But they'll be dropping in here and hopefully cooking a few Necron more bad guys when they come in. And of course, they're there for scoring as well. I need to be able to get on some objectives and score some primaries and secondaries. So they'll be there for that. Now, today, last week, if you watched last week's battle report, I brought a couple Redemptors, but they never really got to punch anything. And I wanted to bring some Dreadnoughts so they could punch something. So today, I am bringing 3 Redemptors. 2 of them have the Macro Plasma, and 1 of them has the Gatling Cannon. Just going WYSIWYG on these models. But yeah, I really want to get some Redemptors in there and punch. So these guys are here for that purpose. Of course, they're going to be shooting as well. Of course, they're going to be around the Lieutenant so they can shoot, charge, and then the next turn fall back and shoot as well. Their special rule, of course, is they reduce damage by 1. Hopefully that makes a difference in today's game. Now, next we've got, to kind of go along with those guys and a punchy robot, I've got one of the Brutalis Dreadnoughts. I haven't really had much use for him yet. His points went way down in the data slate, so we'll see what he does, see if he contributes today. Next, we've also got an Invictor Warsuit. This guy's going to let me get out onto objectives a little bit sooner because he's got a nice scout move. He's got a bunch of small shots, and I know DJ's list doesn't really have much infantry in it today. Even though the infantry are more durable types of infantry. I guess they're technically not vehicles, but they seem like kind of somewhere halfway between infantry and vehicles. But he might put out a little bit of damage, but he's more just to get out there and score and get on some objectives. Next, we've got 2 of the Ballistus Dreadnoughts. These guys, of course, re-roll hits when they're shooting at something that's above half strength, and they'll get 1 wound re-roll with the Iron Hands rule. So hopefully they can do a little bit of damage today as well. And of course, 2 Gladiator Lancers. These things are always great, especially now that Oath of Moment has lost the ability to reroll wounds, and especially in an Iron Hands, because the Lancer's base rule for itself is that it rerolls 1 hit, wound, and damage roll, and on top of that, with the Iron Hands, you can reroll one of those, a hit, wound, or damage roll. So you've got a lot of reroll options there with them. They're not Black Templars. Last week I ran them as Black Templars and had the multi-meltas on them. Didn't quite have the points of that, so we're just basic Space Marines today. No multi-meltas on the Lancers. That is the list, guys. All right, I think today's matchup is going to be a tough one. I think it's going to be a good game. I think it'll be a lot of DJ definitely has a lot of ability to put some work into me and damage my vehicles, but I have the ability to hit him back. A couple Tech Marines in there to keep my guys fixed up and hitting on 2s. And I'm going to definitely try to make sure I use those stratagems and tell you about when I use the Iron Hand stratagems to see when they come into play. I may blow somebody up. I don't know if it's tactically sound, but it's something I want to do. I want to use the auto explode stratagem. And I definitely think the ability to shoot back after being shot will be huge in this game. Although remember, that stratagem can only be used if your vehicle is brought below half strength from that attack. So there is kind of that caveat to using that stratagem. And of course, there's the strat that lets you get sustained hits on 5s, so you can put it on a vehicle. Again, that has a caveat that the target unit that you're shooting at has to be below full strength. But I definitely want to see if I can make use of that combined with the enhancement that gives the lethal hits. So basically lethal and sustained on 5s. We'll see if we can make that really cook today. All right, follow me over to the battle report. Let's see how these guys do into the Necrons.